Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome back to another new episode of What If Naruto was taken by Yoda and trained to become a Jedi Knight. If you guys enjoyed this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. Jumping out of hyperspace, Naruto's starfighter quickly made its way to the surface of Coruscant. It wasn't long ago that he was contacted by the Jedi Council and told to return as soon as possible. He had quickly made his way back since his leap back on Mandalore led to a dead end with Death Watch going dark shortly after their encounter. A complete waste of time. R4, did you get anything? Naruto asked his astromech. Prior to jumping into hyperspace, he asked his astromech to scan the Mandalore system as broadly as possible, wanting to know if he could catch any Death Watch ship sneaking in. The astromech beeped for a few seconds before Naruto sighed. Nothing. It seems like that Death Watch was quite elusive. Disappointed, he slowly parked his Delta 7 in the hangar. He quickly exited the fighter and began to head towards the council chambers. He noticed an unusual amount of Jedi preparing for a mission. Barely were more than half a dozen Jedi sent on any one mission. Look who's back. He heard Siri call out to him from the group. Turning about, he spotted a smirking Siri. Well, not much I can do when the council summons me. Naruto countered as he turned around and resumed his walk towards the chambers. Siri frowned slightly as she jogged up to him and matched his pace. They called you back. Do you know what for? She questioned him hesitantly as Naruto hummed, choosing to ignore the worry in her voice. Don't know, but odds are it's about the assassins. Naruto answered as Siri nodded at that. Speaking about assassins, weren't you off chasing some? She questioned him regarding his adventure, to which he sighed. It was a false lead. Meant to be a wild goose chase, and I was the fool who fell for it. Naruto answered as Siri chuckled. Well, you were pretty adamant about hunting them down. I know that Padme is a close friend. She reasoned as Naruto shook his head, trying to hide his distress. I am a Jedi Knight. Hell, I could even become a Jedi Master in a few years, and I was fooled by a false lead. I didn't wait to investigate further, I charged in without thinking. Naruto stated as they reached the door which led to the chamber. Siri sighed as she listened to Naruto. True, but that is what makes you, well, you. Siri said as she turned to rejoin the large group of Jedi that seemed to be growing, leaving a confused Naruto. Was she implying that him rushing in was a good thing? He shook his head. Right now there were more important matters. Taking a deep breath, the doors to the chamber opened, allowing Naruto in. As he looked around, he noticed that only Masters Windu and Mundi were waiting for him. Master Uzumaki, I see that you have returned. Good. Windu spoke up as all attention turned to the blonde, who simply nodded. Yes, I received your transmission. Naruto stated as he walked up and stood in the center. Where's Master Yoda and well everyone? Naruto questioned as Windu leaned forward a bit. Master Yoda is away on an important political mission, however, it is Obi-Wan we need to discuss about. He answered as Naruto raised an eyebrow. What happened this time? Kenobi? He questioned as the master nodded. Master Kenobi has discovered something unpleasant. Master Mundi stated, causing Naruto to narrow his eyes. He had a bad feeling about this. Which is? Naruto questioned. He has discovered a droid army on the planet of Geonosis, however, we fear that he has been taken prisoner. Windu answered as Naruto's eyes slightly widened. The droid army. Like the Trade Federation had. And you want to send someone to save Kenobi? Naruto questioned, thinking they were going to send him. Wouldn't be the first time he was sent on a rescue mission. Yes and no. Windu answered, causing Naruto to raise an eyebrow. What was that supposed to mean? Not only has Obi-Wan likely been captured, but we've been unable to get into contact with young Skywalker and Senator Amidala. We fear they may have also been taken prisoner. Plo Koon elaborated a bit on the subject. Naruto narrowed his eyes further, this time in slight anger. Knowing Anakin, he probably rushed in to save Obi-Wan without thinking, and led Padme into a war zone. Then we must act fast. Naruto proposed, but was silenced as Mace Windu raised a hand. And we will. Master Yoda has already left to acquire the means to carry out the rescue, but if Obi-Wan's reports were true, then Dooku is behind this army, and as such the Separatist Alliance are readying for war. Windu said as Naruto frowned grimly. It was the Trade Federation. And what does this all have to do with me? Naruto questioned as Shakti chose to speak this time. We must respond to the threat of force. The Jedi are defenders of the Republic. I will personally lead a team ahead to attempt to capture Count Dooku and end this war before it even begins. Windu stated as Naruto hummed. Is that what that massive team of Jedi was gathering for? Before he could get a word in, it was time for Master Mundi to speak up. You'll be joining us as part of the rescue team to save Senator Amidala and our Jedi comrades. Naruto looked at Coyote Mundi in shock. Are you sure? Surely there are other Jedi that are more skilled. Naruto reasoned as Windu shook his head. Your skill, notwithstanding, isn't the only thing that matters. Your experience in the chaos of war will be indispensable. Windu stated as Naruto nodded with a serious face. When do we leave? Naruto questioned as Windu smirked, knowing Naruto would be up for this task. Meet in this hangar in about an hour. From there, we head to Geonosis. Windu answered as Naruto nodded. This would be quite the battle, even for him. But masters, this is a highly dangerous mission. No, it's not just a mission anymore. This is literally going to be the first battle of a war. Just how many Jedi do we plan on sending? Naruto reasoned. There were about 10,000 Jedi in the order, but most of them were away on missions. Take away the Padawans and younglings, as well as the inexperienced knights, and there weren't many Jedi that had a chance of surviving on Geonosis. He might be experienced in the art of war, but that was on a smaller scale. This was going to be a planetary battle, an invasion. According to my count, over 200 knights and masters. A few Padawans who have shown exemplary skill have also been selected. Master Mundi finished. Naruto was dumbstruck. A force of only 200 Jedi would likely be slaughtered by the Trade Federation's army, which probably numbers in the millions by now. Naruto, you have shown great strength, valor, determination, tenacity, and so much more. You are more qualified than you think. Despite your unorthodox methods and general disregard for authority, you are a great Jedi Knight. I have no doubt you'll soon reach the rank of Master. Go back to your quarters and ready yourself. We leave soon. Mace Windu ordered as Naruto dumbly nodded. Turning around, he exited the chambers heading to his quarters. You okay? Siri questioned as he looked like he was in a trance. Slowly he turned to her, a serious face. You know, Naruto started as Siri blinked before she realized what he was saying. She nodded grimly. They've been gathering anyone with combat experience. Siri started as Naruto sighed. Like him, Siri was almost a Jedi Master. Of course she would be brought along. He had expected this to happen. They need as many Jedi as possible. Then you know where we are going? Naruto questioned as Siri shook her head. No, they haven't told us where we are going, but it's to a battlefield, isn't it? She questioned. She was stupid. She knew what was on the horizon. Naruto walked toward and grabbed her shoulder. Siri, on the battlefield, look for me. Naruto pleaded as Siri nodded, seriousness all over her face. I will. She answered as she hugged him. The two shared the moment of peace while it lasted, for it would be the last one they would share. They broke the hug after a few minutes with Siri blushing a bit as Naruto grabbed his things. With everything set, Naruto headed out as Siri watched his retreating figure. Be safe, she whispered as she watched him turn the corner, leaving her to her thoughts. She could only hope that she and the others could survive the coming war. With Naruto, this wouldn't have been the first time he had seen war, and it wouldn't be the last time too. As he walked through the hallways of the temple, he looked at the younglings, the Padawans, and the few knights he came across, most of which had little experience in actual combat. He and Kenobi were notable exceptions, and there was little doubt in his mind that Obi-Wan would be promoted to Jedi Master before the war ended. For too many this would be baptism through fire. For many it would be their first battle, and for many it would be their last. He frowned at that though, wanting to say that a battlefield is no place for them, but then he would be called a hypocrite. He had fought in a war when he was just a child. Naruto sighed at that familiar. Turning around, he dodged a flying body that would have tackled him otherwise. Ashoka, what have I told you about doing that? Naruto questioned as the said youngling pouted. She had grown quite a bit, but she was still a youngling. A few more years and she would be a Padawan, and off to war she went. He frowned at that thought. She was like a little sister he never had, and the battlefield is the last place he wants her in. Tanatsu, she answered as Naruto chuckled lightly and ruffled her hair, causing her to whine as she tried to swat away his hand. Right, now what are you doing? Naruto was cut off by some shouting behind him. Don't let her get away. He turned to face a few temple guards in pink armor. He blinked at that. Since when did temple guards wear pink armor? Gah! She went that way. One of them shouted, pointing behind Naruto, who turned and sweat dropped. All he could see was the outline of where Ashoka was and where she was presently, running as fast as possible with the temple guards hot on her heels. He chuckled nervously at that. Wonder where she picked that up from. He thought innocently to himself for a moment, only for his mind to wander back. Ahsoka was almost 14. She would likely be thrust into the coming war as someone's Padawan. Naruto hadn't taken on a Padawan learner yet, but with this looming threat, his instinct was to protect Ahsoka, and to do that, he would have to take her on as his Padawan. He would do his best to keep her, and all other Jedi, from having to do as much of the fighting as possible. This was his burden to shoulder. Geonosis. Geonosis was a harsh planet located within the Outer Rim. Home to a bug-like species, the Geonosians. One would simply pass over the planet, as it had nothing to offer in terms of resources. However, recently, the Separatist Alliance, officially known as the Confederacy of Independent Systems, approached the Geonosians to build them an army in secret. The numerous Geonosians proved to be apt laborers, and the droid army was nearly complete. Everything is proceeding as planned, my master. One Count Dooku reported as he bowed to the hologram of a hooded man, whose only feature one could see was his nose and mouth. Good. And what of the prisoners? Deku's lord questioned as Deku kept his face down, not meeting the face of his master due to respect and fear. They're alive for now. Deku answered as his master chuckled slightly. Good, keep them as such. The Senate has just approved the military creation bill, and the Jedi will soon arrive to save them. You know your tasks ahead, no? Deku's master questioned, causing Deku to nod. Yes, Lord Sidious. Deku answered as Sidious nodded before the hologram faded away. Deku returned back to his normal upright position, as he stared at the spot where his master's hologram once stood. When am I paid? Deku heard a robotic voice. Turning around, he saw a bounty hunter clad in Mandalorian-inspired armor. The bounty hunter's face was hidden from his view due to the helmet. Not only that, but the bounty hunter only knew some basic, nothing too advanced. You will be compensated for your services after this last mission. Deku answered as the bounty hunter stood there, before he turned to leave. This is the last job, I'd better get paid or else. The bounty hunter stated, but before he could even take a single step, he was slowly levitated up a few inches as he tried to claw at his neck, trying to break free of the unseen force choking him. Do not forget who you are talking to, boy. Deku warned before he let go of the young bounty hunter, who gasped for air while massaging his neck. He quickly stood up and left without saying a word. Deku huffed as Django's protege tucked his tail and ran. This kid that Django had taken on was a remarkable combatant, but he had no capability against the Force. In orbit over Coruscant, Naruto sighed as he boarded the shuttle that would lead him to a much larger vessel. Alongside him was his old masters, and a few other Jedi masters and a handful of knights. I can sense your apprehension. Is everything alright? Plo Koon questioned his old Padawan. Naruto shook his head. No, nothing was alright. There's a war coming, how can everything be alright? Naruto answered as Plo Koon raised an eyebrow. That's a shocking reaction, considering all the little wars you have been involved in. You used to rush headfirst into battle. Plo Koon stated as Naruto sighed once more. That's the thing, you, me, the other masters and probably a few others, have experience with this kind of stuff. Most of them do not. Naruto answered gesturing to the other transports, causing Plo Koon to hum at it. Your concern for the Padawans is understandable, but most of those here are experienced knights or masters. You shouldn't worry about them. Plo Koon questioned as Naruto nodded grimly. The older younglings will soon be pressed into service to fight this war. Probably before they are ready. Naruto stated as Plo nodded at that. Even Master Unduli's Padawan Barris was chosen to be part of the Jedi strike team. It might seem harsh, but they had no choice. The war that would follow, if Deku escaped, would be fought on a galactic scale, with many systems fighting against one another. Surely you have more faith in them? Plo questioned as Naruto frowned. I do have faith in them, but war is not about having faith in someone. War cares not for your determination to win. It's all strategy, tactics. All it takes is an intelligent commander to turn the tide of battle. There hasn't been a war on a galactic scale in over 1,000 years. So, I'm not sure anyone in the Republic has enough military minds for a full-scale war. Naruto answered. A small force of a few hundred warriors could defeat a force of 1,000. He had proven that on Naboo and Mandalore, but this was a war between millions of troops. This didn't require short-term tactics like Naruto had studied. It required long-term strategies and meticulous planning, things that Naruto, by his very personality, didn't have a knack for. Then it's a good thing that our enemies have even worse commanders. Plo stated, chuckling. If the reports were true, then the commanders of this droid army would be the various heads of large trading and manufacturing companies, such as the bumbling Newt Gunray of the Trade Federation. He wouldn't be surprised if they even decided to repurpose protocol droids to be tactical supervisors. Naruto kept quiet as the transports jumped into hyperspace, the clock was ticking, and the war was edging ever closer. He could only hope that he was strong enough to take down Deku. A few hours later. This planet is insufferable. Naruto snarled out as he, along with Mace Windu, walked through the rocky formations of Geonosis. It had been a few hours since the Jedi had touched down on the planet. We're almost there. Windu spoke as the two climbed a few more rocks. Naruto and Windu were taking the hard way up to the Colosseum. It would have been impossible to simply walk through the front door and up to the Count's balcony without raising the alarm. So, they opted to scale the walks. Well, Windu had to. Sometimes I get the feeling having your abilities would be quite handy. Windu said with a deadpan expression as he watched Naruto travel up the rocky wall in leaps and bounds, as he was forced to climb it painstakingly slow. Naruto simply shrugged and continued. He might not know much about chakra, but he knew enough about it in order to improve his physical prowess. Climbing a wall of rock such as this was a cakewalk to him. You think they're fine? Naruto lended the Korin Jedi Master help hand onto the catwalk as he alluded to the three whose execution was being treated as a sport. If they're not dead already, they should be fine. Here. Windu pointed at the opening that led into the large Colosseum. The two quickly hurried in as they heard the cheering or whatever those bug-like creatures did. Naruto and Mace exchanged a brief glance of acknowledgement as they parted ways. Naruto traversed the nearest vomitorium and entered the spectator stands of the arena, listening to the roar of the crowd. Naruto's eyes focused on the subject. Looking around, he noticed the 210 Jedi that had hidden themselves amongst the crowd of spectators that failed to notice the small army of Jedi that had blended in effortlessly, thanks to the Force. Every available Jedi that was worth their salt was waiting for the moment to strike. All except for Master Windu, of course. With Dooku. Dooku had thought that everything would go his way, it didn't. He had expected the execution to proceed with ease, except it didn't. Obi-Wan, along with his 2 other prisoners, had managed to get loose from their chains, and managing to hijack one of the beasts. In the end, he had to call in some droids to kill his prisoners. He was unable to give out the order as a purple light radiated behind him. Dooku turned to see, passing right below the neck of Jango Fett, was a purple lightsaber. Master Windu, how good of you to join us. Dooku spoke as they slowly turned around, looking at Windu with a small smile. Jango wasn't your average bounty hunter. The man was known as one of the best bounty hunters out there. This party's over. Windu spoke, causing the Count to divert his attention back to him. All around the arena, Jedis emerged from their cover, lightsaber in hand. Naruto's ghost fire crystal ignited with a sharp snap hiss before calming down to a still hum. I must commend you, my old friend, brave but foolish. You're impossibly outnumbered. Dooku stated the fact, causing Windu to smirk. Oh, I don't think so. Windu replied, causing Dooku to raise an eyebrow before he let out a small chuckle. We'll see. He stated with a smirk as the sound of metal marching was heard from the hallway behind them. Windu glanced back to see 4 large and metallic-looking battle droids, who aimed their wrist blasters at the dark-skinned Jedi Master. This caused Windu to focus on the incoming barrage of laser bolts, as Dooku and his bounty hunter quickly moved to the side. Jango took this opportunity and used his flamethrower, causing Windu to do a backflip and landing in the arena. Jango looked towards Dooku, who nodded, and Fett activated his jetpack, following right behind the Jedi Master. With Naruto leapt from the stands and joined his fellow Jedi, as he stood up with slight tingling sensation in the hand he used to catch himself, but he was quickly forced to go on the defensive, as battle droids were all over him. Thankfully, they were all mindless droids, making them easier to cut down. Those look new. Naruto commented before a dozen of the so-called super battle droids leveled their wrist blasters and let loose a rain of fire towards him. All the gates of the arena opened up, and like a flood, hundreds, if not thousands of droids poured into the arena, forcing the Jedis to go on the defensive. Naruto quickly spun his saber, deflecting the enemy fire and destroying some of the droids. He then went on the offensive, cutting down droids after droid. Form a perimeter, don't get separated. Windu yelled as he cut down a few droids, but more kept coming. He used the force and threw back a bunch of droids into each other. Suri meanwhile was trying to find Naruto in the chaos of the battle. There, she said to herself as she brought her saber behind her, deflecting back a bolt from one of the droids. Thinking quickly, she started to make her way to Naruto, jumping over a few droids while cutting down some Geonosian warriors. She landed right behind Naruto, who turned with his saber ready to strike, but halted as he saw Suri. He was going to say something, but the droids were overwhelming them, causing he and Suri to fight back to back. You're a bit late, Naruto said as he deflected some fire before sending a strong force push, crushing some of the droids. Yeah, well, you weren't early either. Suri responded as she threw her violet saber into a crowd of droids, cutting multiple droids before pulling her spinning saber back with the force, and catching it just in time to slash 2 super battle droids in half. The 2 fought on, side by side, back to back for quite a while, as evident by the piles of droids that surrounded the 2. Suri, catch. Naruto stated as he threw his saber. Catching his saber, she started to dual wield. Naruto pulled his blaster up and started to fire away at the droids, while Suri covered him with the 2 sabers. Narrowing his eyes, Naruto let loose a volley of blaster fire, bringing down more than 24 droids. I really like this thing, Naruto said with a chuckle as Suri tossed him his saber back, once again cutting down droids. As the 2 fought, they got a glimpse of green sparks frying nearly 100 droids. Was that Master Plo Koon's special technique? Sir questioned as she ducked while Naruto threw his saber over her head, cutting a few droids. Yeah, that was electric judgment. It's probably really effective against these droids, considering the electricity and all. Naruto answered. Looking around, he spotted Kenobi fighting one of the beasts, and Master Windu was locked in a fierce duel with the bounty hunter Fett. All around him was chaos, and he could notice that some of the less experienced knights were having trouble fighting against a swarm of droids. More than a dozen Jedi had already been killed, overwhelmed by the relentless barrage of blaster fire. Suri, go and help the others. I have an idea. Naruto ordered her to, which was about to protest, but as she turned to look at him, she could tell he was up to something. Got it. She complied as she quickly leapt into the air before landing on a battle droid and resuming her assault, leaving Naruto to his plan. He quickly closed his eyes and began to meditate. Focus. Naruto thought to himself as he took in a deep breath, allowing himself to become one with the force, to become in perfect sync with it. As he did so, battle droids kept on firing as they walked closer and closer to him, before they halted their advance and kept on firing, their blaster bolts whizzing by him. They kept on firing, only this time the lasers spotted right before they hit Naruto, as if they were frozen in midair. "Hold your fire." I said, "Hold your fire." One of the droids ordered, but alas his fellow droids didn't listen as they kept on firing. "I've got a bad feeling about this," the droid said to itself as he started to back away. Right at that moment, Naruto's eyes shot open, sending all the blaster fire back at the droids, bring quite a few of them down. "Right, let's get to work," Naruto said to himself as he went on the defensive. Even though he was able to use battle meditation on the move, it severely hindered his ability to focus on a different task. With Dooku, Coleman Trebor felt a sudden surge in the force. Feeling confident, the Verk Jedi Master leapt from the Patronaki arena into the spectator stands above. He brandished his green lightsaber and readied himself to cut down his former Jedi comrade, but before he could strike, sudden pain welled up from his chest. The Mandalorian bounty hunter behind Dooku had brandished a very expensive-looking blaster, and had shot him in the chest several times. Trebor faded into unconsciousness, and he tumbled over the balcony railing, and careened back into the arena from which he had leapt, his lifeless body marking the first Jedi Master to die in the battle. Jango's protege holstered his blaster silently as Dooku smirked. This boy was good, even better than his teacher, maybe. It was a shame he was some bounty hunter scum that only worked for money instead of principles. However, couldn't help but Dooku take notice that many of the Jedi, previously struggling, were now managing to hold their own against the waves of droids. Even some of the younger ones too. Looking down below, he saw how they were slowly pushing forward, the droids being nearly useless, and the Geonosians even totally so. Master Kit Fisto had made it a priority to take out all of their weapon emplacements. The caste system wasn't too kind to the low-born of the Geonosians, and they were being cut down rather quickly. Dooku's frown turned into a slight scowl, as he noticed the Jedi were no longer only holding their own, but winning. He scanned the battlefield, seeing many faces that he knew were younglings even just 10 years ago. Most of these Jedi shouldn't ready for a battle such as this, yet they were holding strong and taking far fewer losses. Only about a quarter of the Jedi had fallen. Had they really improved so much so quickly, and only the weaker ones had been cut down? Then a wave of dread washed over him. He began to sweat and almost choked as he felt the raw power of the Force. Battle meditation. Dooku thought as his eyes scanned the battlefield. Only a very few knew how to use that ability. Not more than a few dozen in the order. Looking down below, he saw no Jedi sitting and meditating. As expected, that kind of technique would be a death sentence on the battlefield. That narrowed his sights on the one person he'd heard of being able to use it on the move, Naruto Uzumaki. "Boy," Dooku suddenly spoke up. "I need you to kill him." The armor-clad man heard as he turned to look at the Count, who looked at the bounty hunter with a stern face. The bounty hunter had thus far only observed the battle beside the Count, after Jango had jumped down to fight Windu. That boy has a unique Jedi ability known as battle meditation. If he's not snapped out of it soon enough, the Jedi will rally. He's going to be more trouble than he's worth. I want you to kill him now, before the situation gets out of hand. The Count singled out the blonde-haired knight that he had met on a few occasions before. Doing as ordered, as the bounty hunter looked at the Count before he slowly nodded, jumping down into the arena, which was in total chaos as battle droids swarmed the rallying Jedi. Wave after wave being cut down by saber swipes and reflected blaster bolts. Dooku tried hard to keep his expression in check, but his face betrayed his thoughts with a stern frown. In the arena, Naruto was about to lend aid to some of the Jedi, but found his path blocked, as the same bounty hunter from Pantora jumped in front of him. Naruto narrowed his eyes before he charged at the bounty hunter. As Naruto raised his saber to strike down the bounty hunter, the man brought up his blade and blocked Naruto's strike with ease. Naruto growled as he found himself on the defensive, trying to parry the incoming strikes, as well as the endless onslaught of blaster fire. Having to focus on battle meditation wasn't helping him at all. In fact, it was working against him. He had trouble with this bounty hunter even without distractions hindering him. Naruto fumbled his saber work, and he was punished by a sweeping strike that tore into his flesh. Battle meditation is supposedly only able to be performed while the user is completely immobile, requiring the user's undivided attention. The fact that he can maintain it while holding his ground is truly amazing. Master Sidious, I may have a new apprentice for us. Dooku thought as he observed the fight between Naruto and the bounty hunter. He knew how battle meditation worked, and it's a pity he wasn't capable of using it himself. Naruto was only 25, but his usage of battle meditation went beyond any Jedi Master, or of any Force sensitive in all of history. If a boy like that took to the battlefield with an entire clone legion, it would pose a significant problem. Damn it, Naruto wiped away a bit of blood from the fresh gash on his arm, thanks to the bounty hunter. This was getting out of hand. Unlike their fight aboard the transport, the damn bastard could simply use his jetpack to fall back every time he got close. Naruto's gaze wandered to the balcony where his eyes met Deku's death stare. So all Deku is singling me out, huh? Naruto quipped. And now he was in a dilemma. He couldn't keep battle meditation going, or else he would most definitely die, and in that case, he couldn't keep it up anyways. Naruto frowned and spat out a curse before he broke his concentration. The bounty hunter was the more immediate threat. You're not getting away this time. Naruto growled out as he started to set attack after attack. Amazingly, the bounty hunter was keeping up, but it was clearly that he was unable to withstand the speed of Naruto's Form IV strikes. Naruto couldn't help but let a smirk through. Sure, this guy can move around with his jetpack now, but on the other hand, I'm free to use Form IV in an open arena like this. Naruto quickly realized that the trade was not an even one, as he began to overpower the bounty hunter, who was still using something akin to Form 2. It became more apparent as the bounty hunter began to stumble back as Naruto quickly spun around and tried to slice off the bounty hunter's head, only for the bounty hunter to lean back, just enough to save him, but it wasn't enough. Naruto's saber managed to graze the bounty hunter's visor hunter, causing shards of hot molten metal to fall onto the bounty hunter's face. God damn it. The bounty hunter cursed loudly in pain as he struggled to open his left eye, revealing it to be blood red with 3 strange black dots circling around the pupil. Those were some freaky eyes. The long vertical scar over the boy's eye didn't calm his frightening visage. That wasn't something he had caused. Naruto took notice that his opponent sounded rather young. Charging forward once more, the bounty hunter dodged his strikes even more he could see them. It was as if he was able to see his movement prior to the attack. Once more the bounty hunter tried to use his jetpack to fall back, only for Naruto to smirk before using the force and pulling the bounty hunter back towards him. Not this time. Naruto commented, his saber ready to go through the Mandalorian warrior's chest, and would have if it wasn't for the barrage of blaster fire he had to dodge. Rolling over to the side, Naruto used his legs to jump forward towards his target, still recovering from being force-pulled into the ground, only for his strike to be blocked once more. Why would you just die already? Naruto shouted in frustration. Why was it so hard to kill a simple bounty hunter? Not even realizing it, Naruto began to search through the force to find more strength to defeat this guy. But the only strength available to him was the power of the 9 tails, and Kurama was more than willing to lend it to him. Naruto's whiskers slightly darkened, and his nails grew a bit. The small injection of the fox's power was enough to make Naruto's next strike completely shatter his opponent's defense. The bounty hunter tried to block, and when he managed to get good enough footing to parry, dust was kicked up from the shockwave of Naruto's strikes. Not only were his strikes stronger, they were getting faster, too fast for the bounty hunter. With one final strike, Naruto managed to stumble the man back, causing him to trip and lose grip on his sword. Looking around, he noticed that the Jedis began to lose ground, and probably twice as many of the knights and masters had fallen in the short time. Even a few of the Jedi had also praised in battle. Shaking his head, he quickly moved in for the final strike. He needed to end this right now and re-engage battle meditation before long, but as he was about to deliver the final strike, he was thrown away by the raging reek. Naruto grunted as he stood back up, turning to look at the beast, only for his eyes to widen. There sat Padma the raging beast, kissing Anakin on the cheek. What? He thought. Was this an illusion? No, this was very real, even if he wished it wasn't. Kurama started roaring with laughter. Looks like you were fooled by that wench. The fox shouted in his mind with joy, ready to tempt Naruto to give in and surrender to his power even more, but Naruto shook his head, more resolved than before. No, this was a good thing. This development brought him relief. It meant that it was never his fault. It wasn't anything he did that caused her to break it off, she was the one who did it. In that moment, he had a sense of clarity. Even though Anakin had stolen away the love of his life, and Padme betrayed his trust, he was in a battlefield. His whiskers thinned, and his red eyes faded back to their baby blue. And with all doubts washed away from him, he went on the offensive against the bounty hunter, Form IV at the ready. But it was his opponent who made the first strike, using his jetpack to flip over Naruto and strike from above. Naruto parried the surprising blow and exchanged blows with the bounty hunter, who began swinging his blade in wide arcs and broad strokes, reminiscent of Form IV. Naruto couldn't help but do a double take, taken aback by the realization. Was this son of a bitch copying him? The nerve of this guy. He was using his jetpack as a substitute for the force jumps required, and had started using Form IV cadences just from watching Naruto fight with it. Was this bastard mocking him? Naruto was snapped out of his stupor by the vibroblade clashing against his Ghostfire saber. Naruto parried the blow using a technique he borrowed from Form V and resumed the battle. This guy might have learned his moves, but he was no Jedi, and when he again leapt into the air with his jetpack, Naruto was ready to punish him for his arrogance. Dumping backwards into the air, Naruto avoided the incoming blade and did a front flip. At the end of his arc, he landed a heavy kick into the back of his opponent, sending his Vibro sword flying out of his hands, and slamming him heavily into the ground. Just because you can learn my techniques doesn't mean you can perform them right. Unlike Naruto, this guy's speed wasn't enhanced by the Force, and so despite his unnatural ability to learn things on the fly, he couldn't keep up with the speed requirements to perform the acrobatic maneuvers of Form IV. Who are you? Naruto roared during his Force-enhanced dash. He got no response as the bounty hunter hurriedly pulled out his blaster and began to fire rapidly at Naruto, forcing him on the defensive. Damn, he's really got quite the aim with that thing, Naruto thought as he spun his saber, deflecting the incoming fire while moving up at a decent speed. Once he was close enough, he quickly jumped up, landing behind the bounty hunter. Quickly turning around, Naruto slashed at him, cutting through the jetpack, as the bounty hunter rolled forward to grab his Vibro sword. Not so mobile now, are you? Naruto taunted as the bounty hunter narrowed his visible eye behind his helmet as he crouched down on all fours, firing the rocket he had stored on his jetpack. Naruto's eyes widened as he had to jump to the side to avoid the rocket. The rocket exploded, instantly killing 2 nearby Jedi, and launching Naruto and a handful of others nearly a dozen feet back. Stumbling up with a new gash leaking blood from his forehead, Naruto found that he also had a very serious wound on his abdomen. Coughing up some blood as the bounty hunter rushed towards him, his Vibro sword in hand. Now you die, Jedi. The bounty hunter spoke as he stumbled towards Naruto back. As he raised his sword to strike down Naruto, Naruto quickly turned towards the bounty hunter, focusing a tremendous of chakra into his hand, and slammed his empowered fist into the stomach of the bounty hunter. The man's eye widened in shock at the force of the blow, launching him back all the way across the arena and crashing into the stands. It was safe to say that he was out of battle for now. As Naruto panted, Siri quickly rushed to him and engulfed him in a tight hug. You okay? Siri asked softly as she kept him in the embrace. Yeah. You can let go now. Naruto winced in pain as Siri blushed in embarrassment and quickly let go. Naruto wobbled a bit, but quickly found his balance and sighed. He coughed up even more blood as he noticed a shard of rock had lodged itself into his stomach. Let me take care of that, Siri offered as she pulled out a medical kit from her belted red jumpsuit and quickly removed the shard of rock. Naruto fell to his knees and almost passed out from the pain, but managed to keep his wits about him. We're suffering heavy casualties, he heard his companion say through the daze as she treated his wounds and deflected a few stray blaster bolts at the same time. His eyes wandered the arena, his fellow Jedi being shot down in heaps. They were simply being overwhelmed by the sheer number of battle droids. Siri had to stand up to deflect a handful of bolts back at droids before she turned back to resume work on Naruto. But it seemed all for nothing, for just as soon as she reached for Naruto, more blaster fire came their way. Naruto raised his saber to deflect what he could, but he couldn't cover Siri from his kneeling position, who had a glancing bolt singe her shoulder. Naruto was about to stand up and simply deal with having a gaping wound in his stomach for the rest of the battle, but a blue lightsaber blocked the incoming fire, and a quick volley of blaster bolts took care of the offending droids. Naruto looked up to see 2 familiar faces. It seemed like you were having some trouble, he heard Skywalker say as he fought back the droids heading their way, with Padme firing a blaster from behind the cover of his saber. Siri doubled her focus on treating Naruto with the 2 covering them. Naruto felt the familiar sting of a coagulant stop the bleeding in his abdomen. Thanks, Siri. Naruto thanked her as she nodded, glad he was okay. With the bleeding stopped, Naruto once again focused on his battle mediation. Morale again swelled among the Jedi, but alas, Naruto could see the battle was already over. It was too late and too many Jedi had fallen. It was only a matter of time until the droids would overwhelm their defenses. If that was to be their fate, they would at least take out as many droids as he possibly could. Naruto quickly jumped into the middle of the fight against Siri's wishes, deflecting blaster fire that was headed towards his former master, Plo Koon. Siri too jumped into the fray as the droids kept on coming. They were being boxed in as more and more droids flooded into the arena. As they were boxed into a circle in the center of the arena, the droids came to a halt and lowered their blasters. Naruto released a breath he didn't know he was holding as he kept his guard up. In orbit. While the battle raged on down below at the planet, high in the orbit of the rocky planet, a fleet of large transports exited from hyperspace. There were quite a few of them, around 24, and all of them bore the mark of the Republic. Master Yoda, we have arrived. Orders. A trooper, clad in white armor with gold chevrons, inquired Master Yoda as the said Grand Master observed the planet before him. Begin landing the main force, you should. Lead a group to save the Jedi, I will. Yoda answered as he turned around and hobbled to the hangar of the large transport. You heard the general. Sergeant, get those troopers into the gunships, the clone commander shouted. As he did, Yoda watched the clones ready for themselves for their inaugural battle. Back on the ground. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he danced around the arena cutting down droids. He growled as one of the Geonosians shouted with guttural glee next to him. Master Windu, you have fought gallantly. Dooku's voice echoed throughout the Patronaki arena as they looked up towards the gallery where Dooku stood. Windu kept his cool as he looked around and saw that of the 210 Jedi that had first landed, there were maybe about 100 or so that had managed to hold their ground and stay alive. Worthy of recognition in the archives of the Jedi Order. Dooku continued as Naruto narrowed his eyes, watching the droids herd the defeated Jedi into the center of the arena as the Count continued his short monologue. Dooku was surprised just how many Jedi had managed to survive the onslaught. His master had only wanted a handful, at most a quarter of the Jedi to remain, but here he was staring at nearly half the Jedi brought alive and well. Now, it is finished. Surrender and your lives will be spared. Dooku offered as Naruto had enough at that point. We will not be your hostages to be bartered, Dooku. Mace Windu spoke as Dooku frowned at that, disappointed by their choice. Then I'm sorry my old friend. Dooku stated as the droids readied their blasters. The Jedi tensed up, their lightsabers at the ready. He was somewhat saddened by his former comrade's decision, but alas, he gave the order. Dooku was broken out of his thoughts as he heard the roar of engines from above. Look! Padme exclaimed as everyone turned their heads to the skies above. Large warships flew over the arena, with gunships descending into the arena and attacking the droids. The gunships descended into the arena in a blaze of glory, their composite beam lasers ripping the droids to ribbons. Dooku only caught a glimpse of Yoda, who was observing the battle from aboard one of the gunships. Around the survivors, a perimeter created. Yoda ordered as gunships swooped in, forming a circle around the Jedi. The main gunner fired green high-powered laser cannons at the droids, cutting right through them. Some of the gunships were hitting the heads of the droids as they moved around closer to the ground. Soldiers clad in white armor jumped out of the gunships and started to provide covering fire for the Jedi, who began to board the gunships. Naruto's instincts kicked in, and he began to cover their escape as well. As he did so, he began to retreat towards the gunships. He wasn't about to give his life for nothing with the opportunity to escape. It was quickly apparent that the clones had brought too few gunships, and so they had to take off with the first group of Jedi aboard. A dozen more clone troopers descended into the arena with a fresh set of gunships. The remaining Jedi wasted no time as they began to board the gunships as the troopers covered them. Naruto however stayed behind, making sure everyone was on board as he became the center of focus for the droids. Come on Naruto. He heard Siri as the gunships began to hover. Seeing that everyone was on board, Naruto jumped and did a backflip, landing inside the gunship as Siri's eyebrow twitched. Show off. She commented as Naruto flashed her a grin, causing her to scoff sarcastically and look away. Excellent work, Master Naruto. Thanks to you, a great many Jedi, saved today they were. Of that, I do not doubt. Naruto heard a voice from beside him, which he immediately recognized as Master Yoda's. Taking a minute to adjust to his surroundings, he noticed Masters Windu and Mundi had boarded Yoda's gunship along with him and Siri. Thank you Master Yoda. Naruto responded courteously. But I'm only doing what comes natural to me. Naruto then turned back to look at the battlefield ahead, as multiple large transport ships landed to unload tens of thousands of clones. However, he was taken out of his thoughts as the gunship's IM-6 medical droid began poking and prodding him to treat his wounds for the upcoming battle. Dooku could only look on with a frown. Even though this was all part of the plan, he was unable to inflict the amount of losses on the Jedi he had hoped. Still, he had achieved his objective. It was time to leave. Off in the stands, the bounty hunter grunted in pain as he sat up, fixing his helmet. Looking around, he saw the gunships decimating the droids as they covered for the Jedis. Damn it. His body was in pain and he was bleeding from the mouth thanks to the gut punch he had received. Looked down in the arena and frowned as he spotted the decapitated body of one Jango Fett. Giving out a deep huff, the bounty hunter only briefly lamented the death of his teacher. He was more saddened by the sight of his son Boba, clenching his father's helmet. Dooku probably thought he was dead along with Jango, too. No point in staying and fighting for someone who wasn't going to pay a man he thought dead. He coughed up a bit more blood as he wobbled out of the arena to where his ship was located. Boba. He spoke, snapping the young boy's attention towards him. Salvage what you can and then meet me back at our ships. You'll have to pilot Slave Eye. You can do it, right? Boba nodded, tears lightly streaming from his eyes. Acknowledging Boba's reply, he continued dragging his feet towards the exit. He was done with this fight and done with Dooku's bullshit missions. He hadn't been punched that hard in quite some time, and he wasn't about to go into a battle unprepared like that again. No way he could take on a powerful force user like that blonde, especially not well injured. He would have to get stronger. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.